Hi, I'm Allie, your seminar host for The Truth About Timeshare. With so much different information out there about how to end a timeshare, we've created this video to help you explore your options and get educated. Feel free to share this video with friends and family that are also trying to find a way out. We're going to start with an overview of everything that we're going to cover in our seminar, beginning with a little bit about myself and why I chose to become the CEO of Give Up My Timeshare. Then we're going to cover the changes to the industry, the current timeshare crisis in America, the scams to watch out for, and I do hope that if nothing else comes from watching this video, you are armed against being part of a timeshare exit scam. The rental market, the resale market, if you want to try to handle your timeshare on your own. What are the costs of keeping a timeshare long term, your options for getting out of one, and why you should hurry if you want to do that. Finally, we'll share our zero risk option. I'm Alexandra Olson, CEO of Give Up My Timeshare. After years in the industry selling timeshares, I had some clients come back to me wanting to know how to get out of it. The reality is the industry's changed. I thought it would be a quick little Google search to find information that I could refer them to. And wow, was I surprised. There's so much out there, so many companies wanting thousands of dollars up front. And it was just so confusing to find a legitimate company. That's when I found Give Up My Timeshare, and I really loved the fact that they didn't have any money up front. It was a no-risk transaction. That's when I decided to join them. First of all, you are not alone. 10 million homes in America own timeshares. It's good that you had one. Hopefully you enjoyed it and made memories with the people you love. It's also okay to not want it anymore. The reality is the industry has changed. It's an obsolescent product now. You don't need a timeshare to travel to condos any longer. There have been so many changes to the timeshare industry. Originally, it was a fair trade system. You bought a week, you knew what you could trade it for. You would deposit it, look in the book, find your trading power, and it was easy to make a reservation and understand it. That is not the case any longer. The biggest change to the industry is actually the technology coming up. The internet has given an opportunity to the exchange companies to rent out the best inventory, and that's exactly what they do. This is something you can actually test yourself. If you go right onto your RCI or II website and log in and do a search for availability, you won't find very much. Now, if you go over to their Getaways page where you're paying cash, you'll find all kinds of availability. How is it that the same company that doesn't have it available in trade has it available if you want to pay them $1,500? In addition, there have been huge consolidations in this industry. Big hedge funds have bought the big timeshare companies and continued to grow them, while making backdoor deals with the exchange companies to further limit the inventory available to the small guys, someone who owns 1 week at a resort. Then there's been the emergence of points programs. If you're still in a traditional week, your availability is limited, and that's a fact. I meet so many timeshare owners that 20 years ago could get what they wanted, and now their availability is hardly anything. Something really interesting that's happened in the last few years that's completely turned the timeshare industry upside down is the emergence of VRBO and Airbnb. 10 years ago, if you wanted to travel to condos or have multiple bedrooms, a kitchen, to have multiple family members stay with you, you had to own timeshare to do that. That's not the case any longer. You can jump online tonight with flexibility and ease and book a room for anywhere in the world, a condo, a private home. All of these changes have created a timeshare crisis in America. When polled, 8 out of 10 timeshare owners say they no longer want their ownership. That represents 8 million homes in America not wanting their timeshare. There's 3 main reasons that we've seen this crisis come out. Partly it has to do with the rising maintenance fees. That's the big complaint that we get is, oh my gosh, my maintenance fee keeps going up. It used to be $500, now it's $1,000. What I find behind that complaint is usually more to do with the availability. It's not that you would mind spending $1,000 if you could go on a vacation and have a beautiful resort with your family where you wanted to be, when you wanted to be there. It's the availability issues, not being able to book when your family can travel, not having flexibility to go where you want, that ends up making that $1,000 a thorn in your side because you have to pay it anyway and then still book a vacation when your family can go paying cash. This has led a lot of people to look for a way out, and the old idea was that you could sell it. Unfortunately, there's just not a resale market because there's less of a demand for the product. It's not needed to travel in condos any longer, and you have an overabundance of supply. Why do maintenance fees go up? There's actually a lot of legitimate reasons for this, and it's important to understand as you look at owning your timeshare long term. Maintenance fees are going to increase. That's because your utilities, insurance, maintenance, wages for the workers. These are all costs that have to continue to go up in order to maintain the property. On top of that, there can be natural disasters. Many people have told us horror stories about assessments, $8,000 to $12,000 for hurricane damage and things of that nature. A maintenance fee is an ongoing cost, and it's going to continue going up. That's reality. What is the cost of keeping a timeshare long term? When we look at an average maintenance fee being $900 and look at a 6% inflation rate, which normally industry experts plan on about 11% per year in increases, we see that in just 10 years, you'll pay over $14,000. In 20 years, it's over $40,000. Something important to ask yourself is, how long do I own my timeshare for? Timeshares owned in America are almost always deeded in perpetuity, which means forever or until you have a new owner. That does mean that if your kids are inheriting this timeshare, they're also inheriting hundreds of thousands of dollars of ongoing obligation. This was kind of a fun search that really gives a good example of the kind of availability that timeshare owners are facing now. In a search of 13 months for anything in Hawaii, I found 1 week available. When I went over to the section where I could rent on the exchange company's site, there was 6 pages of availability for just the next 2 months. You can check this yourself and you'll see that the good inventory is not being made available to you for exchange. It's being rented out. There is a huge supply of inventory that no one is wanting. Redweek.com used to be an amazing resource to sell your timeshare. Now, the first tab on their site is free timeshares. There are thousands and thousands of weeks out there not selling for a penny, and many owners even offering to pay a year of maintenance fees for you to take it. The reality is there is no resale market. I encourage you to do a quick search on your own timeshare, and unfortunately you'll find dozens, if not hundreds, of weeks available at your resort for under $100 and not selling. Because of the changes to the industry, the rising maintenance fees, the inability to sell a timeshare, there are thousands, if not millions, of desperate timeshare owners out there, and unfortunately a lot of scams have popped up preying on them. Our hope is that this seminar will allow you to be informed as you go out and make a choice on how to get out of a timeshare. We're going to cover 3 of the major scams that exist. But I would like to stress that the easiest way to avoid being scammed is to pay nothing up front. It's an easy transaction to get someone out of a timeshare, and I wouldn't want to do business with any company that can't wait a few weeks to get paid. The first scam that we're going to talk about is listing companies. Do yourself a favor and do a quick search of your timeshare. If there are hundreds of weeks at your resort for sale for under $100, how is someone going to get you thousands of dollars for yours? Just like you would with any real estate transaction. If you were listing your home, you wouldn't pay the listing agent before they've sold the house. Don't pay someone to market your timeshare. The second major scam that we see, thankfully, is very easy to recognize. We call it buyer in the wings. They will contact you at home typically. Believe it or not, your timeshare ownership is a matter of public record. And it's pretty easy to get those kind of records out there for about 2 cents a lead. So you'll be contacted at home where they're going to say something along the lines of, "Oh my gosh, have we got great news. You own Unit 10, Week 2, and we've got someone who owns Week 3 and wants Week 2 as well." They will offer you something like some obscene amount, something like $10,000 for your timeshare, and you're thinking, awesome, I'm finally getting out of this thing. Somewhere through that transaction, they're going to end up wanting you to bring thousands of dollars into the transaction to escrow for title fees or transfer fees, some kind of a cost that in reality should have been coming from the buyer's funds. And finally, we've seen attorney groups pop up that have been disbarred, jailed, and made to pay millions of dollars in damages for telling clients to not pay their maintenance fees as a tool for negotiating with the resort on their behalf. Be careful to not let desperation put you in a dangerous financial position by putting thousands of dollars out there. We know you want out of your timeshare, but that's not the way to do it. Only a title transfer will get you out of a timeshare. So what are your options for getting out of a timeshare? You do have the choice to let it go. That means not paying your maintenance fees and seeing what happens. There are consequences to that we're going to talk about on the next slide. Okay, there are some other things that people have told me have worked for them over the years as well. If you can find someone you don't like or don't care about keeping up the relationship with and you can get them to take it, great. That is a choice. Finding someone else to take over the ownership. That is an option. And I have had clients tell me that, oh, I got divorced and got out of one because they took it. So that is an option as well. So what are the consequences of not paying your maintenance fee? What happens if you just let it go? That differs greatly based upon who you own with. You will see larger developers, brand names, be a lot more aggressive with their collections. They have a department to handle that. They have the resources to go after you. And you'll see negative credit reporting quite quickly and commonly. Aggressive and threatening collections, just very annoying, the number of calls coming to you from at home and work. Foreclosure reporting, typically recorded as a deed in lieu of foreclosure. Liens against other assets is absolutely within their rights, lawsuits, and even wage garnishments. These are common practices by your big developers. Now, a little bit interesting, when you own a smaller mom and pop timeshare, meaning it's one resort and probably one person who processes the maintenance payments, they may not have the resources to hire an attorney or a CPA to go after all these different efforts to collect the payment. So sometimes people actually feel like, oh, nothing happened. We've had a number of people call us who are actually trying to settle an estate, and the unpaid timeshare balance comes up at that point. It has just sat there accruing interest and late fees for years and years, while the owner thought, oh, nothing happened, I stopped paying. That obligation eventually is going to resurface, and often when you're no longer here. The only way to really get out of a timeshare is to find a new owner. You have to transfer title. Just like you can't walk into the street and declare, I don't want this home anymore, and end your obligation to property taxes and insurance and HOA fees. You can't do that with your timeshare either. You need someone else to take it over. You must do a title transfer. Our guarantee at Give Up My Timeshare is that we will get you out of your ownership, transfer the title in 45 days or less, and that you'll pay nothing until that process has been completed. Now, a big question we get is, why do we charge to take over the title? People say, hey, I already paid 20 grand for the thing. Why do I have to pay you to take it? I'll give it to you. I wish that was the case, but unfortunately, there are a lot of costs associated with transferring a timeshare. Number one, you do have title costs, and different resorts have different transfer fees, and when you go through us, you'll see those costs itemized on your settlement statement from the title company. The biggest cost actually comes in with the delay in usage. While it's a quick process to transfer the title, gaining usage at the resort level is a whole nother story and typically takes about a year. That's not because they're trying to be difficult, they just don't staff those departments. Your big developers have sometimes thousands of people working in sales and one or two working in their transfer department. They're not in the business of changing over title, they're in the business of selling new ownerships. So they just take a long time to process them. Many smaller resorts, we have to wait for their annual HOA meeting to have them actually assign us a new account number. So there's about a year-long process where we're waiting for actual usage. During that time, we're paying maintenance fees. Now, this is another point to those of you who are experienced with your timeshare and trying to book. Think about this. Okay, we're a year down the road, we've paid one maintenance fee, and now we have usage, we can log in and make a reservation to market. How far in advance do you need to book if you want to get a great reservation to try and rent out? How far in advance would you book if you were trying to get the best thing possible? A year to 2 years, during which time we're also paying maintenance fees with no return. So unfortunately, there is a delay of 2 to 3 years worth of maintenance fees that we have to look at before we're going to be able to do anything to get a return on this ownership. Fortunately, Give Up My Timeshare has developed a risk-free process in which you bring your funds to closing and pay the title company directly. We never have your payment information. There is no other timeshare exit company that can successfully get you out of a timeshare and doesn't charge thousands of dollars up front before the job's been completed. When you go through Give Up My Timeshare, you can rest assured that we are not paid anything until your transaction has been completed. So what does it cost to get out of your timeshare through us? I have a couple different examples here for you, and it does vary based on what state your resort is in. There are different recording fees and what company you own with. There are different transaction fees to process a transfer with different resorts. One example, a $700 year maintenance that had a very high transfer fee at the resort level, has a one-time payment of right around $4,000 to get out of it through us. Now, this is money that will be spent anyway. One time or forever? That's what you want to ask yourself when you look at the exit fee. Another example, a $1,500 a year maintenance fee. Around $6,400 to get out through us. Again, it's paying forever or it's paying once and being done. So you're probably wondering, what do we do with them? Give Up My Timeshare has developed a platform which launches our reservations onto over 60 different websites to mass market them. And one of the things I really love about Give Up My Timeshare and was drawn to about them is that they keep an integrity to the industry, using these properties and getting them out there as rentals. Most of our clients are at a point in their life where they don't want to try and put it on Craigslist and eBay and all these different websites in order to try and rent it out for their maintenance fee or maybe $100 more than that. They want to just be done and not risk that they're going to pay the maintenance and have it go unrented. Unfortunately, not all properties qualify to go through Give Up My Timeshare. If you have an open loan, I'm afraid that we cannot work with you. All parties on title do need to be in agreement, meaning that everyone on the deed will need to sign in front of a notary to transfer the timeshare. Under a listing agreement, we would need to get that listing agreement canceled, work with that company to do that, or wait for that listing agreement to expire. And finally, if you are behind on your maintenance fees, that's okay, we can proceed, but just be aware that those back maintenance fees will need to be brought current in order for the transaction to go through. Time is of the essence. If you want to get out of your timeshare, you need to hurry. There are the developers lobbying in Washington to actually have laws put in place preventing you from being able to get out of your timeshare, to remove your rights as a property owner. There was a bill that died in the House last year on this exact subject, trying to make it so that you had to actually go back to the resort and have them approve or disapprove any transfer of the property. Lawsuits have been abundant. The timeshare industry itself is fighting very hard against companies like ourselves to prevent you from having choices to end a timeshare. They want you paying your maintenance fee forever. There's changes to the transferable usage that many owners have seen and will continue to see as larger companies gobble up the little mom and pop resorts. They come in and change what your options are. Massive consolidation in the industry has been a trend and it's not slowing down. There will continue to be consolidations which end up changing how and when you can use your timeshare. Where can you find out from our own customers how their experience was? BBB, Nextdoor, Facebook, and Google are all places where you can see reviews from our previous clients. The Give Up My Timeshare process is simple. After your free consultation, you'll e-sign your contract, open escrow. In about 3 weeks, you'll receive a document that you need to notarize, and you'll be free of your timeshare forever. We hope this was helpful and informative. What's your next step? Visit us at giveupmytimeshare.com. Get started now. In a matter of weeks, you could be done with your timeshare forever.